Hi everyone, thanks for joining me, and a quick thank you as well, as always, to OBS Studio, the free software that we're making this on that anyone can download. Today what we're going to be having a look at is the International Space Station, and in particular we're going to be having a look at its first launch. Now the International Space Station, as we know, is 400 kilometers above us, and the first module to be launched was the Zarya module, and was the first component launched for the International Space Station. It was designed to provide its initial propulsion and power. It was a pressurized module, and I'll just bring you down to the spec at the bottom here. It's 41 feet long, 13.5 feet wide. The solar arrays are 35 feet long, 11 feet wide, and it will tell us that once it reaches its elliptical orbit, it will automatically activate the module systems and deploy the solar arrays and communications antenna. So they're all integral to the structure. You think there's lots of pictures of this, the ISS first launch, but in fact there aren't. Have a look on the search. These are the official images. There's one here. I'll just show you that there aren't many pictures of this around. It's a rocket with a black top that we're looking for. You'd have thought there'd be loads of pictures of it, but there aren't. So I thought I'd go onto YouTube. Everything's on YouTube, right? And of course it isn't very well publicised on there either, but Okrajoe has it on his channel. It's just a 30-second video, but there aren't very many of them. Now you can also find it on the European Space Agency's site. It'll just show you, it's not, again, not a very interesting video, this one, but it will show you some computer graphics and a few images of it being put together. Now, not only can you forward through and see actually how full up the actual Zarya model is, which
it will be put into orbit by a
not this part. There we go, that's the Zarya module. This is completely filled up. These are its two massive engines. All the control systems are inside here, and then the fuel tanks are built externally. Come back to that picture there, because have a look at this. This is the bottom section. Zarya goes into this piece here, and the black bit goes onto the top. The US flag and this piece of go faster striping, you can see, are all on this section. These are stabilising aerodynamics to keep it vertical as it goes up. And if you do a Zarya module launch search, you'll see these are the official images. These are CGI images, obviously. These are the Russian images before it was launched, and these are from Okrajoe's video on YouTube, which, as we will all see, is not, first of all, and this is where we will start to draw some accusations with NASA's inconsistencies. This day here, you will see, is a lovely clear blue sky, and this is not a clear blue sky at all. Now, what I'm going to do, don't do that, what I am going to do is take us down, first of all, now, to have a look at a blown up image of this, and what I'm going to show you is that this section at the bottom here is separate from the Zarya module itself, with its two docking stations on the side. You can read about those on NASA's website. This is the top section, obviously, and the actual module is the middle section. This section you can quite clearly see ends here and has the aerodynamics to keep it vertical in the air. Now we'll have a little watch of the video. And this is from Okrajoe's channel. Thanks very much, Okrajoe.
14 years ago, on November 20th, 1998, Zarya, the first component of the new International Space Station, was launched atop a Russian Proton rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. During the initial assembly stage of the ISS, Zarya provided the station with propulsion, guidance, battery...
Okay, I'm just going to drop that back a little bit to that. And what you did notice there, of course, was that everyone had great big coats on and was freezing cold, because it was a not very nice day in Kazakhstan. It bore no relation to the sky. Sorry, I've done that twice now, everybody. Let's go back to the launch pictures. This is quite clearly not the same sky as we saw in that NASA image of the launch. Okay, not only is it not the same sky, but I'm also now going to show you that it's not the same rocket. Again, this section here finishes here, and the middle section has the US flag on it. If we come on to the European Space Agency Space in Videos page, we can find this being put together, as I showed us earlier, And this section here quite clearly shows the US flag is on the bottom section. Here are the stabilizers, aerodynamics, whatever they're technically called. But without any question, this is where it joins together, and this is on this bottom section here. And I'll just take us back to the picture of the rocket to show you that that is not on the same section. Okay, but this gets much sillier. You can rely on NASA. Here it is once we've got into space. Now, as we read, it has external fuel tanks all the way around it, which is why it looks this sort of Star Warsy white metal-y material, whatever it is. And this is where they've been deployed from, these big diagonal pieces at the side. Okay, this is a pressurized container. They don't change, and you know it's obviously not going to change what it's made of, so that's what it looks like. Now, if we look to the next picture and just compare, we'll see immediately that we have the storage fuel tanks on the outside, but the solar array, and bear in mind this was only in space on its own. It was an unmanned vessel for a short time before it was docked, and they began to build the space station around it. Original image, just do that for you again. You can see there that we've got 3 banks of 4 on our solar panels here, and here quite clearly we've got 4 banks of 2, and in this image we have completely different ones. Now, before we get to the last image, which is quite a laugh to be honest with you, let's just have again, I mentioned this Star Warsy material. Just pay attention not only to this solar array, but also to what it's made of and to the texture of this spacecraft. Okay, again in this we've got 1, 2, 3 sections on the top, and we've got completely different solar array coming out of the side. Again though, it is made of the traditional space material. And what I'm going to do is now show us the last image, because again, just show you not the same solar panels, and I just will re-point where these come out from here. Okay, we're happy with the texture of it, we're happy that these come out diagonally here. So then let's just have a look further along. Not only are they different solar panels, different solar panels, different solar panels, but in this image we can see that we don't have 3 sections on the top to store the 6 tons of fuel that it carries, as it will tell us on the Zarya site on NASA. These, however, these couple of old fridge doors that they put onto the top of what seems to be the inside of an old Dyson Hoover, quite clearly don't carry 6 tons of rocket fuel. They've got an old radiator here on the side, look. This is quite clearly plastic, and this is quite obviously small carpet tiles, isn't it? Again, let me just take you back to the other images. That is not the same. That looks like a spacecraft, because this is how they make their images. That looks like a completely different one. In fact, it is a completely different one, and that bears no relation to any of them. This is not the same texture. We've lost the big diagonal pieces of the pressurized container that these were deployed from. Can you show me how they were deployed through these gaps here? Because perhaps they did fold up and they went inside. I'm not saying they didn't, but I'm saying that this is not the same craft with two boxes on the side as this craft, which has 1, 2, 3 on the top, has completely different solar panels and is made of completely different material. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, different solar panels. Everyone's happy with this, aren't they? That's not the same spacecraft as that, because solar panels are different. Look at where those wings come out on there, and look at where the wings come out on there. This is like the manufacturer's publicity shots, isn't it, for the ISS-1, the new £100,000 supercar, and when they built it, it actually looked like that. It bore no relation to the advertising. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but as you can see, guys, this is not the same craft in any of those. So not only is this rocket here with its bottom section and the middle section here, which comes out, not the same as this, which is quite clearly all integral in the bottom section and doesn't have the US flag on it. So not only is it not the same rocket, but it's also nothing like the same. So look at where the wings come out on there of a pressurized container. Look at where they come out on there. Read up for how long this was in space on its own, and we haven't even finished yet. Right, okay, as we started off with, NASA tell us that the ISS is at 400 kilometers, and I just want to see, does it have lights? And it doesn't have lights at all, but it looks as if it does, because as it'll tell us on all these sites, it will catch the solar arrays. Now, if we look onto Wikipedia, like we're going to get the truth from them, but with the exception of 24 astronauts who flew on the Apollo program, went to the moon, all crewed space stations to date, as well as a majority of satellites, are in low Earth orbit, which is between 160 kilometers and sorry, it's 2,000 kilometers. That's not right. No. Objects below that will burn up. So anything below 160 kilometers and 2,000 kilometers, and if you're below 160, you burn up. So they all stay in that magic zone. However, there are high orbit satellites which are in a sweet spot 10 times further away than this. So I just want to take us up here and show us how far away they are. This is a site called Stuff in Space, which I just came across today, and this shows us in real time. If you move around on these, it'll tell us what the satellite is, and it'll show you its orbit. Look, and these are all in a sweet spot where they can orbit the Earth just with their solar power, and these are about 400 kilometers up with the ISS, and these are 10 times further away, and yet are also in a sweet spot where gravity will keep them in orbit, simply because of their solar panels. Now, what I want to point out here is if the ISS isn't lit up, and we can see the ISS from the ground, which people can in some pictures, or so they claim online. In fact, I've seen what appeared to be the space station myself. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm not just saying it's not as high up as it claims to be, and it's not actually in space. That's my opinion anyway. But here, why don't, when the sun is going down or coming up, if the ISS catches the sun's light and reflects with its solar panels, why don't all of these reflect with the sun's panels? Think about it, when the sun's going down or coming up, the whole sky should be full of reflecting satellites. Look, they should all do what the space station does, and they don't. So that was just a further point I wanted to make. And also, I also want to point out that when the ISS is flying around giving us those absurd pictures of an Earth with no chemtrails and all the light shining up, when there are thin clouds on them, you can see the lights straight through them, although we've got no idea where the sun is from underneath, and the sun is presumably much, much brighter than the street lights we've got running along the road here, in an area which from the ISS, I'm in southern England, and over towards South Wales as well, again, is completely lit up on that, which is absolute nonsense, because apart from the motorway, the place is completely dark. There's only, what, 1, 2, 3 cities all the way across as you drive across South Wales, and yeah, it's completely lit up. We can't see something as bright as the sun, and yet they can see those bright lights through the clouds. So first of all, that's nonsense, but where are all these when the ISS is flying around? It's at the same altitude, it never bumps into them, we never see them, there's no aircraft, and look at them all. They don't light up like the ISS does, so why can't we see all of these as well? Anyway, my main points today were this is absolutely 100% not the same rocket as this, as we can see. And not only is it not the same rocket as that, but it's not the same rocket as the one that takes off in this video, because we can't really see on that. Let's just move this forward a little bit until it lights up. There's no writing on here. Okay, maybe this is because of the glow of the rocket fuel. We can see it written on the top, but with the glow of the rocket fuel again, it's glowing pretty hot on here, and we can see the writing all the way up. Sorry, done it again. So I'm just going to move it up one little bit further, so we get up into space, above the clouds. There we go, we're in space now, and there's no writing on here. This is not the same rocket as the one in that picture. And the one in that picture is also not the same rocket as this one here. So we've got 3 different rockets taking off, and then quite clearly we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different craft. And these 2 are drawing your attention to. How can that be the same craft as that? We have a different amount of fuel tanks on it. We've got completely different solar panels, and it's made of completely different texture. So again, make your own conclusions, but as far as I'm concerned, that just makes this absolute nonsense. Thanks very much for tuning in, and this is all on NASA's sites, all freely available on the internet, so check it out for yourself, and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.